Baator has been championing a very difficult campaign in Melbourne, trying to rename our Bazaar to a more inclusive name for our Hazara community of Little Bamyan.
یک فداکار، یک جنگجوی خستگی ناپذیر مردم ما توسلی هستند و افتخارشان.
Sorry, I got a bit sick before coming here, so my voice is not to its normal tone. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land that we are gathering on, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the graduates and young people who are on their way, on their journey with big ambitions and big goals to conquer the world. Congratulations. I myself was part of a student group when I was growing up in Pakistan. So tonight's event reminds me of my childhood memories that I've been part of such an organization that was ambitious to work for the rights of Hazara students in Pakistan. And it is so great to see such an event after such a long time here in Sydney. And it is very unparalleled and unprecedented that at least I haven't seen or witnessed in Australia, which is a great achievement, and I'm sure it has been going on for the last 7 years, but it's a great way to celebrate culture and appreciate the achievements of youth, and also as well as celebrating the tradition of Hazaras and raising awareness. Speaking about childhood, so I grew up when the civil war in Afghanistan was going on, and Quetta was a hub or a place where the actual fight was being fought in Afghanistan, but morally the fight was, or that enthusiasm or courage or the energy, all those activities were done from Pakistan with songs that we are all, like those who grew up in that era, are very much familiar that today the way or the amount we love Dawood Sakhosh is because of those days. It is a great honor for me. I have been, I was a very young kid growing up. I was a school-going kid. I didn't have the money to buy tickets, but I would make sure to get in there. Even if it was climbing the wall or get a sneak into from the crowd. But that was my ambition. I really loved it, and that was really an educational journey for me. Looking back, those events, those theatre dramas for Khalid Shahid or others, and also those songs that were sung to encourage people within Afghanistan were really eye-opening for kids like myself when growing up, to feel and to understand who we actually are. they were real institutions for me. As someone, as a kid who was in a land that were not of our own, growing up, like we were learning about what is happening in our own ancestral country. I wanted to tell this story because this is an interesting one for me, because looking back, I was still young. In Pakistan, I did many trades when I was growing up. I was selling things on the streets. I did work in tailoring shops, and I was working as an embroiderer, like for women clothing, like we call it zari or kashida kari. I used to work as an embroiderer in there. So in Quetta Bazaar, one day, two women from Afghanistan came to our shop. They were talking with the master there, and they were talking about some kind of school for refugees in Quetta. And I said, "Oh, do you run a school there? And like, who is this school for?" And she said that this is for Afghan kids. Okay. And I asked, like I was so young, I didn't know the differentiation. So I said, "Oh, is this only for Afghans, not for Hazaras?" And she said, "Actually, like Afghans, I mean as a whole, like all people." Right? That was new for me. That was the first time, because growing up, we knew the word Afghan is for a particular ethnic group, not for the Hazaras. We were Hazaras. That didn't really sit in my mind correctly. Going forward, when I was working in Afghanistan as well, so I got familiar, like that is the national identity there. But I never felt comfortable calling myself an Afghan. Never. Whenever I did interviews with media or spoke with any media outlets, I always made sure that they call me Hazara or someone, even I used to use Afghani or Afghanistani, but never Afghani, because that was an ethnic group for me. When I came to Melbourne, or Australia, so that challenge was still going on. I saw a bazaar, a street that was established by the Hazaras. All the businesses, or most of the businesses, are owned and run by Hazaras. It's called Afghan Bazaar. And I did a project about the Hazaras in Melbourne, and I featured Shabnam as well in that photo story. It was, I think, 2014, around that time. What I wanted to portray in that photo story was to tell how a group of people who escaped the persecution of the Taliban in the late 1990s and sought asylum in Australia with almost no English. They established their lives here. They worked as laborers, they worked in factories, they did hard jobs. They supported their families back home because they were living in uncertain lives. At that time during John Howard, I don't know how many of you are from that time, because there was no certainty if these people would be given permanent residency, or they would, because often what I heard, they were told that they will need to go back. So they worked hard and they established hard, they contributed into that society. They converted this deserted street, where from this street people say in the evenings they would hesitate to go because it was unsafe. And they turned that into an economic hub. So I wanted to portray that in that photo story and exhibited that in 2 parts of Melbourne to show how the journey of Hazara community in Melbourne has been, how they are contributing back, not only of that street, but successful people like Shabnam and and many others who I featured in that protest story. That was my kind of an attempt to highlight who we are and what we have achieved and what we have done. People who I met, many of them, they spoke about that how they haven't been heard in the process of naming that street. It was so frustrating that people who were the stakeholders, they were not heard when this name was adopted for that street, a branding name or marketing name. It was there on individual levels, people were talking about this, complaining, but people did protest or rain campaign previously as well. They could only take off a mascot which were symbolizing the nomads, which was so much traumatizing for people, like reminding them of like annual invasion of the Hazara lands by those Kuchis and nomads, when they come and destroy their fields, destroy their houses, kill their people. These were very much planned by some people from our other community, our countrymen, to kind of bring that, because they had access to council, they had good relationship with the politicians at that time. Around 2 years ago, the Age newspaper in Melbourne, they called me and asked for my opinion about an initiative by the state government that they are trying to establish a community center for Afghan community. And they were referring to it as Afghan Community Center. I was shocked because that was something very new, and I said, well, my opinion is this, that if state government, this is a very good project, but if the state government wants to do something, then a name, they should adopt a name which should be inclusive for all people, because this name does not represent the Hazaras, it is a name of an ethnic group, and also it is related and tied to the genocide and persecution of Hazaras. Calling Hazaras and identifying them with this name is so much traumatizing for many Hazaras. I know many Hazaras, they have adopted, they have accepted that. It has been normalized for a lot of people, not only Hazaras, but with others as well, like Tajiks and Uzbeks, and many from those communities are also saying that they don't identify with it. Because it has been normalized for so long and imposed. A lot of people, they have accepted this. So that interview was published, and I mobilized some community leaders within the community, and we had a meeting with the state MP and Lice who proposed this project. We educated them what the issue is, and also we said that we want to change the name of the bazaar, because that is not a name that is so pleasing for our community. It is traumatizing, it brings back trauma, it is not trauma informed. So we started that discussion, and there was a plan already then that we want to move a petition to rename this bazaar to a more inclusive name, where Hazara's contribution and efforts can be seen, what they have done in this community and in this city. The big challenge within our community is, or like part of this genocidal practice is, they don't kill people only. Snatching or depriving people from their identity and culture is also a form of genocide. When you take their identities, when you take their tradition and culture, and that has happened to us. Our history has been manipulated, our culture has been taken, And we have been shamed with our identity. Like being a Hazara, like I have lived in Afghanistan, like when some people like they want to degrade you or insult you, they call you, oh Hazara. I mean, that is the level. The way people in Iran are insulted as Afghani. The same in Afghanistan for Hazaras. So this is part of that genocidal kind of motive and movement. So we wanted to speak about it because it has to start from somewhere. Someone has to speak about this. But there were a lot of hesitancy within our community. People were not ready to start this. We had meetings with community elders, community leaders, but we faced refusal by some people who were influential within our communities, because when I reflect back, that I think that is because for so long they have imposed this. Our courage has been taken from us. We are not brave enough, like, because we have been told you can't do that. How dare you stand for your right or to say this? That's why they can't dare to stand up and say, no, this is not me. My identity is this. So we started and when I didn't see any cooperation from the community, I found two friends who worked with me, and we went from shop to shop. We went to 173 businesses, like not all of them together, in different parts. It took us months to collect those signatures and to convince them why do we need that. Some people say that like they did it overnight. It was not an overnight thing. It took us months. Like I said, like 2 years ago, we had discussions about this. But then when it was publicized, when it came to the newspaper, then we saw a lot of support as well from the community and some backlash as well, and also a backlash from the other group, who really kind of actually helped our people to understand that how much discrimination and racism is there against the Hazaras. They don't allow you to identify with your identity. There is nothing wrong like if you call that you're not what your real identity is, but people do get offended. So you know that there is people are comfortable. And through this, like all these months, we have faced a lot of challenges and hardship. We were threatened to be harmed. Even like I received messages to get bombed, and I received 30 complaints at my workplace to kind of, there was a message to leave it, or we will target you anywhere. Like now, since 2 days ago that the council has announced that they are going to remove the name. That they are going to probably move like they will file a lawsuit against us. That's fine, we are ready for anything. Like we have committed that we will fight this fight till the end. We won't be discouraged. Thank you. It hasn't been an easy fight because there are a lot of challenges there, both physical, psychological, and a lot of trolls online. Like we are feeling the pressure and we are experiencing the pressure, but that will not deter us. We will keep going until it is done. One other idea behind this was the street name is a symbolic. It is more about educating our people. who really we are. Because our young generation, they are growing up being estranged from their own identity. I don't want to see my kids growing up as Afghan, because they are not Afghan, they are Hazara, Australian Hazara. They didn't have nothing to do with Afghanistan or Afghan, that identity. That education or that message is not going to our new generation. When identity is removed, so do our past. I mean, what has happened to our people. We are still going through a genocidal challenges in Afghanistan. We are being evicted from our lands. We are being killed every day. Our women, Hazara women in Afghanistan, they have double crime. They are women and they are Hazaras. Women are stopped from education, but Hazara women face double challenges in that country. It's not an easy thing. Here, like this movement is to educate our people who we really are and what has happened. And our young generation who are graduating now, who are working in this field, they are the flag bearers of our future. We have to raise our voice. We have to bring justice to our people. This is the way, like a movement that should educate our people. And as well as like in Australia, in the last 25 years, we have been misrepresented. We have the largest population of diaspora community from Afghanistan here, but unfortunately on political levels, like with politicians in the government, we have never been correctly presented, because other people who have connections, who have been lobbying, they are taking advantage of our communities and they misrepresent our people. The example is the today's Guardian article about a Senate submission in 2021, when they are very much pre-planned and intentionally they wanted to harm Hazaras, to paint a very bad picture of the Hazaras to the politicians, to the government, in order to prevent Hazaras who were like mentioned in the reports of the government that they are one of the most vulnerable groups under the Taliban rule. This group who wrote this submission, their only motive was to paint a very horrible picture of the Hazaras so they can't be resettled here, to deny their persecution, and all they were saying, like, these persecution, everyone is getting killed and it is not racial based, or they are not discriminated based on their racial features or ethnicity. So for that purpose as well, we have to be involved. We should not let others to represent us. We have amazing young people who graduates, community leaders among us. Why they should not represent us? Why someone else should claim that they are representative of our community, and when they get an opportunity and they just misrepresent us at every and any avenue wherever they go. And we have seen many of those things, and we have heard like what has happened, especially like when you guys came, like this, the time when in the late 1990s and 2001, when the first group of Hazara, what sort of challenges you have faced when there were cultural advisors and people who were interpreters to say that these Hazaras are not from Afghanistan. There were like a lot of hurdles, there were articles, there were things. So they are the challenges. And this campaign was also, as I said, more about education, more about educating our people. And we have done nothing extraordinary. I'm just an ordinary person like anyone else, probably less talented than many of you. The only thing was that we felt that that thing was wrong and we have to stand up for that. That is all we did. All we want is to be more vigilant of what is happening around us. If not to let people misrepresent or misuse from our identity or our presence in this country. یک چند صحبت فقط فارسی هم فارسی از من دیگه گرگارد قبول. خب امی بعضی چیزایش گفتم که اینجی امی کار را که ما شروع کردیم به خاطر نام این مسئله اول خوب بسیار محلی بود، نباید کلان میشد که او را دوستای دیگه که از طرف دیگه بود بسیار کلان کرد. ما این را بسیار خواستیم که همین طرف دمو ساحه جنینون یا ملبورن پیش بگیریم، لیکن او رسانه‌ای شد و ما چالش‌های بسیار زیاد داشتیم اونجا. خودی متاسفانه کنسول امروز ما طرف شد و چون مردم ارتباطات بسیار قوی داشتند دیگه این یک چالش بسیار بزرگ برای ما بود. ما در هر مرحله بسیار زیاد مشکلات را دیدیم که اونا امید کرد که ما مثلا شاید امیر رازی کار دست پیدا کنیم پس بریم، لیکن ما یک گروه ریزه بودیم، 3 نفری بودیم. بعدا دیگه دوستان امروز ما یک جای شد، البته مصمم بودیم که همین کار رو در انجامش برسانیم، چون مسئله هویت بود، مسئله نمایندگی قوم بود. ما خبر ندارم که سیدنی چی رقم است، لیکن در ملبورن وضعیت بسیار خراب بود، جمعیت بسیار زیاد داریم، لیکن نمایندگی از ما درست نمیشد. همون نماینده لوکال از ما فدرال که بود، مثلا خود کنسول، یعنی مردم از ما رو بسیار زیاد دستی کم می‌گرفت، چون اطراف از او که بود دیگه مردم بود، اونا یک رقم ذهنیت‌هایش خراب کرده بود که ما وقتی که یه پیچشن به سبمیت کردیم حتی ایمیل‌های از ما جواب نمیداد، تلفن‌های ما جواب نمیداد که ما چیز می‌خوایم. برای از نام خوب واضح شده بود که کانسول دندان اولین کانسول است که یعنی نسل کشی هزاره ها را در رسمیت شناخته و تو چطور میتونی که مثلا نامی که برای از ما اینقدر آزاردهنده است و تو اونجا بری. ما گفتیم چندین بار گفتیم چند سال قبل دوست ها میتونی یک پیچشن شروع کرد، دیدی که اونا مثلا توان چی نرسید ایلا کرد و ما کار را اینا این دفعه هم فکر میکرد که ما همین کار را مثلا نیمکله ایلا کرده پس موریم. ما فشار از او وقت فهمیدیم وقتی که ما خود ما پیش آمدیم، یعنی ما خود ما فقط روبروی آمدیم، چهرهش ماجوش دیگه دوستا اینقدر چی نبود. اینا کوشش کرد که مرا این رقم زیاد تارگت کنه، تهدید کنه، مثلا تهدیدهای بسیار زد. حتی از مثلا که سر از من کیس کنه، نشنالیتی از مرا مثلا به چالش بکشه یا هر رقمی که دلش خواست به دفتر من شکایت کنه که یعنی مرا از امی اراده من خراب کنه که مبارم از ترس بخورم برو خانه دیگه ما اونمو چیز را پیام را بریز مثلا این رقم این دفعه شما شاید کدی آدمای دیگر رقم سر خوردن موی رقم چون اراده ما مصمم بود. امیر گفته بودیم که این کار را ما در انجامش میرسانیم. طرف ما گفتیم بسیار زور آمد، بسیار زیاد زور آمد. ما دستی کم گرفته بودیم، فکر میکنیم که آسانه شاید یک سبمیشن را که میتونیم امضا جمع کنیم بس خلاص بریم پشت کار خود. فکر نمیکنم اینقدر زمان بگیره، اینقدر پرشر باید. لیکن واقعا حال ما همو دوستایی که همو بزرگایی که ما اول میتینگ کرده بودیم امرایشی اونا که نگرانی‌های خود نشان داد که مثلا گفت همین کار را نکنی خوب نیست تر مشکلات بیاد. ما وقت یعنی اندازه چیز نکرده بودم که قدر مشکلات باشه، لیکن بعد از او خود ما شخصا دیگه فهمیدم که چقدر فشارها مایه در هر نیرنگی در هر راهی اینا کوشش منه که آسیب برسنه. یعنی فهمید ما بسیار زیاد نگران شده بود که از خاطری گشت و گذارم طوری با کارش نه ده حق هم بود برحال اینالی ما خود ما کوشش کنیم که زیاد احتیاط کنیم چون امو بین از قومای اون طرف بسیار زیاد معروف شدیم خب هر کدامش میشناسن در رستوران که بودیم این چیکار یک طرف مشهور میکنه جدیه اگر در بازار ما مثلا باید تو خانم موظف باشیم که اگر چیزی اتفاق کنه یعنی گپ یکی اما در خیال آقای رویش گفته بود که هزاره بودن هزینه داره لقالیم ای خیره مشکل نیا مثلا یک دو نفر هزینه بیده لیکن ما باید هم هویت خود اینجا برایش مبارزه منیم نمیلیم که از حق خودش علیه کسی هستیم کسی نمونیم این رفت نیم مثلا اگر ما خود کنیم ما اینی مردم هستیم کسی از هویت ما خصوصی استفاده نکنیم فقط اینمی خطر ما فقط میفهمیم که هویت از ما باشم خود هویت از خودش نمی‌باشیم اینمی خطر این از زیاد کنترلی نمونم و سخنانم نیستم امیدوارم که بور نشده باشید جور باشید زنده باشید تشکر جور باشید
To kindly come back on stage if we could present you with a certificate of appreciation from Saba Group